Olaf, you know, he's sort of embodies a child, really. He's the child of the movie. He represents this beautiful naivete. But in the second one, he's growing up. It's a little bit more like a kid in adolescence, where they start to have these little existential crises, where he realizes, oh, there's knowledge in the world, and I'm going to gain that, and that's going to make me question myself and things around me, and allow me to use critical thinking, and all the things that happen when you grow up. And throughout the movie, he is constantly throwing out new facts because he's reading a lot. And one of my favorite things that he says is that turtles breathe through their butts. And I think that's something everyone should know. One of the characters that they developed is Queen Iduna, who you see in a lot of flashbacks in the movie, this guiding force of the mother in their life, who holds all these secrets about why Elsa and Anna are the way they are. And I remember when they were casting for Queen Iduna, hearing when Evan was cast, Jen Lee, our director, told me that of all the people that they saw, because we're all the same age, but she has to play our mother, she was the only voice that still somehow, even though we're all the same age, sounded maternal towards Elsa and Anna, and Adina's voice and I think her voice fits in seamless. Sterling plays General Matthias, who is a character we run across when we walk sort of into the unknown, into the forest of the North Uldra, and he is this estranged army general in the Arendellian army that hasn't heard from anyone in Arendelle in a while. He's been on his own for a long, long time, so he has a lot of funny quirks, but it turns out he was very, very good friends with our father, and he also shares with us a ton about our family. The second song was incredibly significant to me because it's called Do the Next Right Thing, and that's actually a mantra that I have with my life when I am anxiety riddled or get depressed. There's the only thing you can do is the next right thing, and it's baby steps. For anyone who's experienced a hardship or trauma or is flat on the floor and feels they can't pick themselves back up, the only practical application to rejoin the human race is to just do the next right thing. Sometimes that's just get out of bed, just put your clothes on, just brush your teeth. You only have to do one thing in that moment, and it's sung when Anna is at her absolute lowest. It's a really sad, dark moment of the film, and she is reminded of this mantra that will get her back to eventually. It's a much bigger world than you're used to, and everything is a little bit more grown up. It's still very kid appropriate, but this movie has grown with its audience. So kids that were 5 years old and are 11 now, or were 10 and are 16 now, these characters have developed like they have, and they're experiencing new things. And I think the movie growing with the audience is going to be a reason that they will like it.
To say that this movie is ambitious is a big understatement. It's a continuation of a journey that I think is important to a lot of people, one that builds not only on the story that everyone fell in love with, but one that deepens and enriches all of the characters and introduces new characters that I think are going to become as iconic as Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, Sven, and Olaf. Olaf has definitely become more of a learned snowman, and he loves to call upon factoids that are both interesting but also irrelevant to any discussion. And he just is like one of those people at a party who just raises his hand and says something that nobody asked about, and loves to rattle off all of this newfound knowledge that he has. In Summer was such a wonderful take on this idea of a character who really has a childlike innocence about him and doesn't understand the dangers of the world. What's so brilliant about the song in this one, without giving too much away, is that it sort of flips that idea on its head a little bit, and now he's starting to recognize that there are dangers, but he's also trying to keep the dangers at bay by reminding himself maybe this isn't as bad as I think it is, and maybe when I'm older, this'll all make a little bit more sense. And I loved that idea because comedically it is sort of the inverse of his attitude in the first film, and leave it to Bobby and Kristen to find such a brilliant take on what that means. Two of them have an amazing collaborative nature about them. What I find so endearing and so wonderful for my process is that collaborative spirit allows me to play. And they're never precious about their dialogue. They're never precious about their ideas. They want input. They want the artists to get in there, to talk through ideas, and to really explore. And I think that that is a luxury that you don't often find. This movie is truly an action adventure film. And I think that that's the part that is gonna blow people's minds. Is it is funny, it is so beautiful, like stunningly beautiful, but at the same time, it's also an edge of your seat kind of movie where you don't know what's lurking around every corner, and there are a lot of surprises along the way.
I play Elsa, who is now the Queen of Arendelle. And I guess you could say, like in the first movie, she had these powers that she felt were too much, and they were scaring people and hurting people. She was trying to figure out how to harness them. And in this film, she's needs to test them to see if they are enough to save her people and her kingdom. And so she sort of has to step into them even more. And she goes on this incredible journey and this quest with her family to sort of unleash and discover the origins of her powers. And on that journey, they uncover some deep secrets about their past and their family. But mostly, I think they really sort of bring out the best in one another. And as they're getting older and maturing, it's that wonderful thing about sisters and friends and family when you push each other to be the best that you can be. What Kristen Bell has done with Anna is pretty incredible. She's sort of turned the Disney princess around and has broken some rules and really allowed this sort of imperfect young woman to be perfect. And she's celebrates her idiosyncrasies and her mistakes, and allows us to see a real, authentic, strong, funny, beautiful character. Into the Unknown is this beautiful song where Elsa's hearing this calling. She doesn't know what it is. It's this weird sort of cooning sound, they call it. And it's kind of haunting her and aggravating her at first because she doesn't understand it. And but she knows something's missing, and she needs to understand why she is who she is. Why does she have these powers? Why is she being called to this? What is her purpose in life? And deep down, she knows she needs to find those answers. So Into the Unknown is her first realization that she can't just sit by in the kingdom. She needs to get out there into the world and get the answers. Chris is always, he's the one that wants to show you every stage that they're at artistically and visually. So he'll come out with the storyboard pages and shit. This is exactly what's happening here. You know, because you come in for the last couple of years and things aren't animated yet. You see drawings, you see, I mean, I'm just fascinated by this process, and I love that he wants to share it, and they don't just say, come in and read your script. They are excited to share with you the process and their thought process, and why they're making changes they're doing, or what inspired them to make Elsa go on this trajectory as opposed to this trajectory. And so I find it fascinating, and I feel very grateful that they are so inclusive. It's a couple of years later, and it's a wonderful way to parallel sort of everyone that's growing up with the movie, because the girls are growing up as well. And the story is deepened and enriched, and I guess their curiosity and their lessons that they're learning are a little bit more challenging, and the choices they have to make in life are a little bit tougher, and there's tons of adventure. It's exciting and suspenseful, but most of it lies in the heart of this family and these two sisters and their loyalty to one another and how they would do anything for each other.
Folks have been stuck for 30 years in this forest with a desire to get home, with a desire to return to Arendelle, and whatever they try has been unsuccessful. So then the queen comes along with the princess and their merry band of misfits. And for some reason, like, they're the first people that have been able to penetrate this fog. So that means if there's a way in, then obviously there must be a way out. Hopefully we'll figure it out. There's a universal question about, like, where do I fit in the world? You know, I think for Elsa in particular, having these magical powers and sort of being the other amongst her people of Arendelle, and powerful and strong, but also looking for community that sort of reflects what it is that she brings to the table. There's a sort of excavation of the past and how your past sort of informs who you are in the present. It's a little This Is Us, you know what I'm saying? Because we will go back in the past and see their parents and sort of their parents' influence on them and how that, you know, shapes them into the people that they are right now. And then in terms of just like having to make decisions that go against the grain. I think both Elsa and Anna have to make decisions in the course of the film that are seemingly unpopular, but they follow their truth. And when you know, when your soul
on love, they're bluer or more cyan, I think, on the first Frozen.
Because what happens is you got these lights illuminating the environment, but then, like, if we just had the buds, there would be, if we don't add these extra lights, it would look like nothing's illuminating.
On the inside.
Exactly, yeah.
But you can get to this level.
Yeah,
here,
we can change,
correct?
we can shift the color, absolutely.
I know, get him, get him! Oh, I like the sky.
Yeah.
Autumn sky. Beneath the moon.
Yay, yay, cool.
And that's our glorious show. Thank you, everyone.
like this, it's like going to see Indiana Jones or Star Wars or anything. Like, to see it at home, sure, that'll be great afterwards, but you got to experience it for the first time on the big screen. Got to.
I feel like, in particular with myself and Josh and Kristen and Adina, we're different from our characters, obviously, but there's also kind of an innate similarity with the characters that we play on ourselves in real life. And there's this, we all know each other's like strengths, we all know each other's vulnerabilities, and we all, in a very base level, have a deep respect and love for each other. So getting to spend time with each other, making the movie and promoting the movie has been really fun, because it really feels like family. We've all kind of grown up together. We all do things separate from each other, but this experience bringing us together, it feels really special to be with this particular group of people. Frozen 2 takes place in Arendelle, which is where the first movie took place, and everything seems to be going well in Arendelle, but then Elsa hears this voice that's calling her out of the walls of the city. and our characters from the first movie go on a journey and an adventure together to discover information about Elsa and Anna's past. I'm so excited. I actually get to sing in Frozen 2. They gave me a song that is an incredible, incredible song, and it's called Lost in the Woods. It's like an 80s inspired jam, which I never would have anticipated being written in Frozen 2, but makes so much sense when I heard it and found out what was, it's in a way kind of like Kristoff's Let It Go moment, because he's got these feelings for Anna. He's sort of a dude. He doesn't really express himself that often. And so in a sort of fantasy sequence, Sven speaks to him actually and invites him to express his feelings, and Kristoff kind of lets his hair down and releases his emotions in this brilliant sort of song in the style of an 80s ballad. Each song is crafted for a specific moment in the story. I think that part of what makes them really special and what elevates them is that they don't want to just write a great song. They want to write a great song that services a bigger overarching story. And so you're getting really great melodies and really funny and clever and moving lyrics, but more than anything, it's there to service the whole. And so the songs that they write, that they have written for Frozen 2, because it's the story is more expansive and it's deeper and it's richer, therefore the music gets to take on those qualities as well. And I think it created a really nice opportunity and palette for Kristen and Bobby to kind of spread their wings a little bit. What makes this adventure in Frozen 2 exciting, I feel like there's two things. The first thing is we're going outside of Arendelle and exploring some larger, bigger, more elemental themes, as opposed to just in this sort of like small community of Arendelle. So the world is expansive. And then at the same time, all these characters were just meeting for the first time in the first movie, and now they really know each other. And so you're getting to see relationships deepen and grow and become more complicated and more interesting.
Second film, you start to understand more about Anna and Elsa's mother, Iduna, and her past, and you realize she has some secrets of her own, and she has some magic of her own, and her childhood and her upbringing may carry some clues as to Elsa's powers, and also the conflict going on between Ahtohallan and Arendelle, and Iduna sort of bridges the gap between the two, I think is what you start to realize. And so hopefully they can come together. Iduna is a very protective mother. She's very intuitive, very sensitive, and I think you sort of see why Anna and Elsa love to sing so much. I think that's one of the things you'll see in the opening of the film, this beautiful lullaby that sort of sets up the story. And I always loved it because it gave me the impression that, Iduna sang to them and left such an impression on them. And even though she left them too soon, I think she's still very much present in their hearts and in their spirits. And I think she's still there to guide. The songs became, instant classics. We heard them constantly. When I heard the music for Frozen 2, I thought, they've done it again. I immediately couldn't get them out of my head. I've been humming it all day today. I sing the lullaby to my son at night now. And there's been a few songs that I've heard that have moved me to tears. I think the spirit of the songs is still very much there, that empowering strength. It's a really epic story, like the first one, but again, I think this one just expands. And I think Anna and Elsa are growing with the fans, because if you're a returning fan, you may have watched it when you were young and now you've grown a bit, and I think the characters have sort of grown with you and the story's growing. which I think is cool. And there'll be a lot of laughs, a lot of amazing songs. You may shed a tear or two, but I think you're really in for an epic adventure.